In this video, we're going to look at just quickly how to approach solving absolute value equations. We're looking at the process for this, how our minds should work in order to solve them. Now, the best way to solve an absolute value equation is to isolate the absolute value all by itself on one side of the equation. That is when you can split it into the two equations. The absolute value has to be completely isolated, nothing being multiplied outside the absolute value, nothing being added on the outside of the absolute value. So that's the first thing you want to do is whenever you're solving an absolute value equation, make sure that absolute value is completely isolated. The way you do that is you remove any constants first. And so what that means is if you are adding, subtracting outside the absolute value, get rid of those first by doing the inverse operation. Then if you have a coefficient, the absolute value, you would do the inverse operation, which most likely would be, dividing by that coefficient. Make a note here, and this is the part that really struggles students, is coefficients for absolute values. This is not the distributive property. If I'm just going to show one little example, if I have 2 times the absolute value of x minus 1 equals 10, you're so used to thinking if I have a number outside, you distribute it in. You cannot do that with absolute value bars because absolute value itself is an operation. And that's what I'm telling you, it's the distance from 0 on the number line. So it's twice the distance x minus 1 on the number line is from 0 equals 10. So you can't distribute in. You're going to have to divide out that coefficient there. And so that is the part that some students really struggle with. So kind of make a note, no distributing for that. Then once you get it isolated, that's when you're going to split it into the two equations. One where the expression inside the absolute value is equal to the positive expression or number on the right, and then the other where it's equal to the negative expression or number on the right. And then you solve each equation separately using the same approaches we're used to doing, and then you want to check your answer. You want to check your answer because it should yield a true statement when substituted into the original equation for the original absolute value equation. And there's a reason why you want to check is sometimes you might get an answer that does not make sense, and you're going to have to see, is it true or isn't it true for it. And so this is how you solve absolute value equations. It's the process your mind needs to go through. They're not steps. It's kind of trying to show you before you do anything, isolate the absolute value. And then once you do that, then you can split it apart. And then you can solve for it. So understand this process before you move on to the exercise set dealing with solving absolute value equations.